Hello, Level 7 students. Today, we're going to review, again, negative sentences. And I want to remind you that we do not allow double negatives in English. So what that means is you cannot have two negative words in the same sentence in English. That is okay in Spanish. You can say no tengo nada, no and nada being negative words, but you cannot say I don't have nothing in English. Don't and nothing being two negative words. You have to only have one negative word. So you can say I don't have anything, or you can say I have nothing. Both of those mean the same thing, but you cannot use the two negative words together. Okay? So we will review negative sentences, and I will talk a little bit more about double negatives today. So we can make a negative sentence by adding not or the abbreviation N''T after the auxiliary verb. And remember, some tenses, like present simple or past simple, do not have an auxiliary verb in a positive sentence. So, if you're making a present simple sentence negative, then you need to add the auxiliary do or does and then the abbreviation, except for when the main verb is be. And if you're making a past simple sentence negative, you're going to add didn't. Also, except when the main verb of the sentence is be. So this is a review from your Level 1 or Level 2 English class, right? Let's look at some examples. Here is a positive sentence. I have been to Paris. So, to make this negative, we're just going to add the abbreviation of not to the auxiliary verb. Here, the auxiliary verb is have. So the negative sentence is I haven't been to Paris. We like big dogs. This is a present simple sentence. And look, there is no auxiliary verb. Remember, for negative present simple, we use the auxiliary verb do or does. So here, the negative sentence is we don't like big dogs. You add the auxiliary do and then your negative word in the abbreviation N''T. Or you could say, we do not like big dogs. They wanted to go out. So this is past simple, and in past simple, we only use the auxiliary verbs in questions or negative sentences. So there is no auxiliary verb in the positive sentence, but we need one for the negative sentence. Because it's past simple, we will use the auxiliary verb did. So they didn't want to go out. You add the abbreviation to the auxiliary verb, or you can use the word not. They did not want to go out. She is working tonight. Here we have a present continuous positive sentence. So the sentence has an auxiliary verb, is. We want to add not after the auxiliary verb. So to make this sentence negative, we can say, she isn't working tonight, or she is not working tonight. Infinitives and gerunds can also be negative with the word not. Remember, infinitives are when you see to and then the base form of a verb, and gerunds are the ing present participle form of the word. So here are some examples. We decided not to do anything. I like not working. It relaxes me. The best thing you can do for your health is not smoking. When we introduce negative ideas with verbs such as think, believe, suppose, and imagine, these verbs about what we're thinking, we need to make the first verb negative, not the second. Here are some examples. We could say, I don't think you're right. You should not say, I think you aren't right, because the negative goes on the first verb. Another example, I don't suppose you want a game of tennis. Not, I suppose you don't want. Finally, I don't believe you saw a ghost. So, double negatives. English is different from Spanish when it comes to double negatives. A double negative is when two negative forms are used in the same sentence. Some examples of negative forms are no, none, not, the abbreviation N''T, nobody, nothing, nowhere, never. So you cannot use two of these in the same sentence. You should not use double negatives. Sometimes you might hear people using double negatives, but that's either grammatically wrong or in English, two negatives can be used to mean a positive. But we are not going to learn that today. You should just try to avoid double negatives. Let's look at the examples. Do you have any tea? No. Sorry, I don't have any. You should not say, I don't have none, because don't and none are both negative. Instead, we say, I don't have any. And there's only one negative form in the sentence. You can say, I don't have any money, or I have no money, but you cannot put these together. You cannot say, I don't have no money, because that's a double negative. It has two negative forms in the same sentence, and you do not want to do that. Okay, let's look at a few more examples and try to do them together. Here is a positive sentence. I have read that book. would we make it negative? Remember, we should add the abbreviation for not to the auxiliary verb. Here, the auxiliary verb is have. So the negative sentence is I haven't read that book. I will be traveling over the summer. Okay, again, to make this negative, let's put an apostrophe T on our auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb here is will. Remember, the negative form of will is a little different. So this sentence should be, I won't be traveling over the summer. The positive sentence. This dog loves broccoli. How can we make it negative? This is present simple, so it does not have an auxiliary verb in the positive sentence. Remember, we need to add the auxiliary verb for present simple. So we can say, this dog doesn't love broccoli. We add the auxiliary verb does and then make it negative. You could also use a synonym and say, this dog hates broccoli. The positive sentence, the cat wanted to swim. Look, again, we have a sentence without an auxiliary verb. This is past simple. In past simple, we use auxiliary verbs in questions and negatives. So we need to add the auxiliary verb. Do you remember what auxiliary verb we use for past simple? Did. So, the cat didn't want to swim. Look! Don't forget, with past simple, when you use didn't in a negative sentence, the main verb is in the base form, not in its past simple form. So we don't say didn't wanted, you say didn't want. The positive sentence, I believe they are in love. How do we make this negative? Look, we have two verbs, believe and are. Which one do we make negative? Remember, when you use words like think, believe, or suppose before your idea, you need to make that first verb negative. And this is present simple, so we're going to need to add an auxiliary verb. So the negative is, I don't believe they are in love. The positive sentence, I have water. For negative, we could say, I don't have water. I have no water. Either one works, but you cannot use the double negative. Do not say, I don't have no water, because you should not use two negative forms in the same sentence. Okay, your assignment for today is to make these sentences negative. Remember everything that you learned in this video. And, as always, if you have any questions Or if you need help, send me a message and I will help you. Good luck!